ministry, and this person was having some conflict internally, externally in her church. And I asked this person, I said, well, what is it that you do in the ministry? Well, she said, one of the things that I do is I'm an intercessor. And I said, okay. And then she proceeded to just tell me this, and that, and she's feeling like torn, that she this, that, and I listened. And then I led with asking a question. I said, well, if you call to intercede, then that's part of your assignment, right? If it's something going on your watch, then you called to pray about those things. And what she said was, she said, I understand that, but I'm tired. I don't want to do that no more. I don't see no change. I don't get the support, this, that, and the third. And I want help. I want breakthrough. I want to get out of it. And something came out of my mouth. I know it was the Holy Spirit. It wasn't me. And it just came out so effortless, right? I looked at her and I said, you've abandoned your assignment to idolize your breakthrough. Jesus. And she looked at me and said, what? I said, you abandon your assignment to intercede, to idolize wanting to have breakthrough. And how many of us can attest to that? Because I know that was one point in my life, me. That the burden of the Lord that he gave me to carry the weight to intercede became too far great for me that I was looking for immediate relief and an escape out to find something else to pick up. But it became idolatry because it was never, God had never afforded me to put it down in the first place. And what we look for is we look for a breakthrough. We look for a way of escape. We look for a way out. And God spoke this to me, Evangelist Sean. He said, you want immediate relief when I'm trying to give you revelation. I'm trying to give you revelation that is affiliated with your assignment. Okay, because whatever you're assigned to or whatever you're called to, he's going to equip you with the information and the knowledge to be able to carry it out. He's not going to leave you second and guessing. He's not going to leave you wondering. That's why training is so essential, because once you identify with what you assigned to, then whenever that assignment is placed on you, now the training and the information and the knowledge, and sometimes even though you get trained through your apostolic leader or through your teacher or in your ministry, sometimes training as it came from me come by default through experience. And sometimes we get hard in the experience and then we want to abandon the assignment to pick up another assignment that was never assigned to us. Okay. And what happens is when you pick up that assignment, it begins to assassinate your life. It killing you softly because it don't start off right off, because again I say, like last Sunday, it gives you a sense of false security. Like Prophetess Glenn said, every good thing is not a God thing. And so because the weight of it that we carry with the assignment is too hard, no, I'm not going to do that. I know you called me to pray at 3. I'm going to go do something else. I know you called me to be a prophet. I think I'm going to go preach. I know you called me to be a doorkeeper. I'd rather just do showcase and do a podcast. Oh, okay. Because that's too hard. That's too much. It takes too much sacrifice for me to do that. So I'm going to pick up an assignment. You know what he said to me this morning? He said this to me this morning too. He said, why is it that most people, they do stuff and then ask for my permission later?
Wow. Absolutely.
Okay, let me break that down. So this is what we do, prophets, right? Okay, we already done aligned ourselves and said we're going to do it. And then we say, well, I'm going to pray about it.
I've done it, yes.
But you had already in your heart said you're going to do it in the first place and never got God's approval or endorsement to do it. Okay, because it looked like something you can do. But what God told me, he said, anything that I assign you to do, you can't do it without me. Moses had to go free the children of Israel. It was an assignment that was way too big for him. Nehemiah was called to build. It was way too big for him. Jeremiah had to prophesy. It was way too big for him. Jonah had to go and preach to a people that was unrepentant. It was way too big for him. So that's why he ended up in the belly of a whale, because he wanted to pick up another assignment. Okay.
That's so good.
So the analogy and the illustration he gave me was my children. Like my daughter does this to me all the time. She said, okay, I want to go out with my friends. And I told them that it was okay. Are you good with that? I said, well, you already done told them you don't honor me enough to ask me first. You already done told everybody, lottie-dottie, that this is what you're going to do, and you placed me secondary instead of primary. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and let you be the prophet of Balaam and lead you to your own way of destruction. Wow. But is that what I told you or called you to do at this particular time? See, people don't like me when I teach like this, but we got to understand when we are called to do an assignment in that present moment. Because every assignment is not always eternal. Some assignments are temporal.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Some burdens he give you is for a particular season. And if you abandon that burden to pick up a false burden,
that's so good.
Then what's going to happen is whatever you start first, you're going to finish it. Because anything we do in the flesh, God is not pleased with. So it's going to take your flesh for you to carry that burden. But when it's God's burden, his grace is sufficient for you. And his power is perfected in your weakness. I shared this with an apostle, and then I'll pass the baton. I said to her, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to assignments. There's nothing new. What we see, it's been demonstrated before, it just hasn't been finished. Okay. Somebody else probably decided to either pick up another assignment or they deviated from their burden in their assignment. And then God said that I have to find someone else to complete the work. Okay, so everything that we see now that's been operating in the earth realm, now somebody else, either God had designed them to do it or they begin to do it and they didn't complete it. They got bewitched.
That's good. That's good.
So I said, God, what do you mean? He said, in other words, I had to find someone who was willing to be a sacrifice, who was willing to submit and take this burden, even though the burden is great and is heavy. Because trust you, me, and believe I can be the one to tell you, this burden is not easy. It takes a certain amount of stamina and strength and endurance, and it takes the grace and the power of God to complete it, because you cannot do it outside of him, because anything we do outside of faith is sin anyway. So what is God saying? He said, I've assigned each and individual a burden to carry.
Yes.
It's not for you to give that burden to somebody else. It's not for you to lay that burden aside, and you don't get to pick and choose your own burden because you're not a God. Okay. And he said this to me. I gave Esther a burden. He did. And her relative Mordecai said these words to her. The burden was this: don't think because you are in the king's house you are alone of all these Jews and you're going to escape. For if you remain silent at this time, this was her burden, relief and deliverance from the Jews shall arise from somebody else. Okay, so if you decide that you don't want the burden, that's all right. God will find somebody else that'll do it.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And then you're going to be looking at God at the end where you have to sit in the judgment seat of Christ, and he going to ask you, what did you do with the burden that I gave you? So Mordecai completed and said, relief and deliverance from the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. Uh-oh. Whoa. So even though I'm going to assign somebody else to do what I told you to do, your whole family going to suffer as a result of you saying no to me. Okay.
Absolutely.
Don't you know that your yes is not just contingent on you?
Come on here. That's right. That's right.
Your yes and your submission to carry your burden, oh God, is also connected to those in your household. Yes. Some of you want the blessing. The blessing is in your burden. Okay. They don't like this kind of teaching.
That's good.
is when you carry the burden. I told her, you want the breakthrough? Pick up your burden. I said, okay. Okay. No, that don't sound like simple math. Because simple math says to me, no, I can't pick up the burden. I just want the blessing. But that's not the way the kingdom works. The kingdom works